All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another edition of the Ev Singleton Show. We do not do this very often or consistently, I guess, with all the other content that we're putting out on the channel. This kind of takes the back seat. But when I feel like there's topics to talk about and whatnot, we can dive into it. And today we do have a pretty, I guess, breaking subject. The Jets coach, Robert Saleh, has been fired, which is shocking and not shocking all at the same time, right? Like, this dude hasn't been a successful coach for the Jets. In fact, I think out of the last like three to five coaches, wherever it was, he has the worst win percentage. That takes over what Todd Bowles had. I think it was like 37%, and Saleh was in like the 35% range. But he's had like a tough cast of quarterbacks. We'll talk about that in a second, because I do want to kind of open up the question, is this an Aaron Rodgers doing, or is it a Jets organizational, change? Like, are they doing it, or is it Aaron Rodgers being like, I don't think so, man, get this guy out of here? Because if you saw, was it week number 1 or whenever the Jets kind of looked good, right? Was that week number 2? When Aaron Rodgers was just thrown for a touchdown, and it went viral on social media. We could probably pop it up in a little bit. In fact, let's go ahead and find that right now, because I want to kind of reference it as I talk about it. Here we go. We got it right here. So if you guys remember this is after a touchdown by the Jets, right? He comes back to the sideline. Saleh goes to hug him, and he pushes him off. There was obviously people wondering what the lip reading was and all of that. But it looks like one guy's happy and one guy's not. Now, I originally thought that this was more of a, hey, don't celebrate, it's too early, a lot of game left to be played. But now, just a few weeks later, the coach is fired. Like, that guy right there is fired. Look at this face. He's pushing. He's happy. He's smiling. He's going for a hug. He's going for a push. So I guess there was maybe some tumultualization. Is that a word? I don't think so, but we'll roll with it. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But let's see what, let's see. We got a little clip from ESPN here. And let's see. Adam Schefter, I guess, has some insight. So let's see if that'll help us out. So let's dive into that. Watch this clip.
They just named Jeff Ulbrich as the interim head coach. The defensive coordinator is going to be taking over for Robert Saleh as he becomes the first head coach to be let go during this season. He's got a year left on his contract after.
Yeah, right there, 20-36 record. Like, that is abysmal. So I guess you have the grounds for firing. But again, like, Aaron Rodgers, I feel like he's got his little finger in the pot. You know what I mean?
For this season, but even this still is surprising. Now, this is a team, I think, that had looked a little off recently. They weren't looking exactly the way they should. And the Jets felt like they needed to do something to try to get this team back. And they told Robert Saleh of this decision here minutes ago.
Adam, Woody, the owner for the Jets, has never fired a coach in season.
That's something to know. We'll get back to this in a second. That I did not know. This is the first time I'm watching this clip. That's pretty damn interesting. So now it's like Aaron Rodgers in the organization. I think there's a little bit of Aaron Rodgers stirring the pot here. Am I crazy to think that? Like, it makes sense, right? Like, he comes to the Jets. He's trying to revive this organization. He probably wants it to be him. And sort of like he gets to make the calls and the sayings and whatever.
As far as I remember, why now? What was the tipping point that made this happen right now, as opposed to a few more games or even getting through the season? Why now?
I think that they believe that they have a really good team. I think that they think this team, especially in that division, can compete to win the division, and it wasn't performing the way that everybody expected. If we watch this team, everybody would admit, every Jet fan, it looked off. They lost at home to Denver. They lost to Minnesota. What's odd?
Denver was in the pouring rain. They lost because of a missed field goal in the rain at the end of the game. Minnesota, one of the best teams in the league, and in London. I'm not even like a Jets truther out here, but let's settle down on they lost 2 terrible games. And then the other one was what? Opening night for them against the 49ers? They have some excuses for their damn losses. Like, legitimate excuses.
In this day and age, in the National Football League, there are peaks and valleys to every team season. Everybody goes through them. But with the pressure in New York, I just feel like they felt like This is a team that should be performing better, winning more often, and Woody Johnson didn't want to squander what could potentially be the last year of Aaron Rodgers' career. We don't know if we'll see Aaron Rodgers again. They went out and traded for him last year with the idea that he was going to bring back this franchise.
Interesting.
You got to stop you right
How about that? Interesting. So the last thing he mentions is all of a sudden he needed to make the most of Aaron Rodgers. He needed to make sure Aaron Rodgers, if this is his last year, we want to make the most. This is an Aaron Rodgers-led decision. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers said, hey, you need to fire him, but Aaron Rodgers is the biggest proponent for this happening. This season isn't bad for the Jets. If you're sitting here being like, what an abysmal season for the Jets, I don't know what to tell you, right? Like, they're 2-3. They have had a pretty, schedule. I mean, they lose to the 49ers. That was bad. They come back, beat the Titans. Titans turn out to be a good defense, so good win there. They stomp the Patriots, a bad team. You should beat the bad teams. Then they lose to Denver in some of the worst conditions we've seen this year, and then they lose by what, 1 score to the Vikings? Yes, Aaron Rodgers looked like crap, but I don't know. I don't know if I think that this was we got to save the season. Like, I think this is more of let's hit the reset button and give Aaron Rodgers the keys to the kingdom. Like, I can't really think of anything outside of that really makes sense. I know that his record hasn't been great with this team, but think about the quarterbacks, like what Trevor Siemian, Kevin White, was that his name? Zach Wilson, I don't know if Saleh's had necessarily the biggest of, quarterback cast or offensive cast. And then you throw in the fact that, for the last couple years, they've been a really, really good defense, which is obviously his sort of focus. Like, it's kind of interesting that they make this move. Now, they have a game, I almost want to say it's the Monday Night Football game, the 14th, right? Is that Monday Night Football this coming week against the Bills. Then they play Pittsburgh. Then they play New England. They should get that win. Then they play Houston, Arizona, Indianapolis. Like, they don't have the easiest of schedule, especially with the next 2 games, Buffalo and Pittsburgh. So I guess if you're going to make this move, you might as well do it earlier or sooner rather than later. So that part I agree with. Like, if they were going to fire Saleh, it's now, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, instead of waiting till week 8 and then all of a sudden, like Shefty said, Aaron Rodgers has half a year with this coach, half a year with that coach. I get that part, but you can't convince me that this was just he's not the right fit for the job. It's the freaking New York Jets. They've stunk. He's been sort of a little bit of an inspiration drop in there. I know the record has been bad, but the team's been bad, and that's not always on the coach. The defense has become one of the best defenses in the league over the last couple of years. That you can attribute to him. So, I don't know. To me, this is an Aaron Rodgers fueled, that's probably a decent word for it, fueled firing. I wouldn't put it past Aaron Rodgers had something to wink, wink, nod, nod, do about it either. We've kind of seen him speak about coaches in the past and whatnot as well. So that's a little bit interesting to me. It kind of came out of nowhere. Like, it is surprising. And then even Shefty at the end, he says, management and ownership doesn't want to waste Aaron Rodgers. It makes sense, but if you're already thinking, is Aaron Rodgers involved in this, then he's the final sort of bookend point you make. I don't know. To me, there's a little bit of tastes a little bit like Aaron Rodgers stew. When there's smoke, there's fire, and we even saw Aaron Rodgers push Saleh. Like, there's some little factors in here. So let me know in the comments, guys, what you think of this. Do we think that Aaron Rodgers has something to do with this? Is it just the Jets sort of decision? Is it the right decision? Because to me, it's like, at this point, what better head coach you going to get? You going to go get Bill Belichick? That'd be a little interesting, right? But, like, to me, I don't necessarily see them turning the season around by firing this coach. So that's just my stance on it. I do think that Aaron Rodgers could have had something to do with it. But let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And if you made it this far in the video, go ahead and comment 9. Again, Ev Singleton Show. We do this in podcast format. We do it in rant format. It's kind of just our do whatever part of the channel here. If you guys want to check out other episodes, we have an episode that's more of a podcast format where we took some voicemails from you guys. We also have the Kyle Kerms, aka The Sauce. We interviewed him and heard about his amazing backstory in terms of, like, maybe he should be dead, and he's not. He's making picks here on YouTube, crushing it, so go check out that episode. But yeah, Ev Singleton Show, that's what we got for you guys. We're signing out. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.